Well, we'll find out. We'll also talk about Esa Lindell because he's in the final year of his contract. What's the future hold for the Stars' Finnish defenseman? Esa, there's a couple Finnish defensemen. And we'll get into USA Hockey Hall of Fame inductees for the class of 2024. All that more, some interesting NHL news. It's the show. Let's get to it.
Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
We got a happy birthday
singing
for Owen, baby.
There we go.
We're going to be here.
Okay.
The intro opens that our producer John is doing is actually really fun for us because every day we get to see Luddy go, I don't remember saying that. I don't think they have the cap room to do it.
They'd have to do
I
a
was gonna
lot.
say, you have Fireball in your mug?
I'm just telling you,
hypothetically.
I would like to see Miro Heiskanen with Kale McCarr on the top pair.
I'm going to let Sam talk right now so he can get us back on track.
This is where we should have the exploding brain emoji again.
It is Wednesday. It's September 11th. This is the Dallas Stars DLLS podcast. I'm Owen Newkirk, Sam Nestler, Craig Ludwig. No Sean today. This is the usual show. Sean is usually here a couple days a week, but that shouldn't make it any less interesting. Nice to see you, Sean. As we get into our midweek show, we will get into things such as Esa Lindell's future with the Dallas Stars, the USA Hockey Hall of Fame inductees for the class of 2024 were announced, some interesting news about Sidney Crosby and Max Pacioretty that we'll get to in our NHL news and notes. By the way, tomorrow it's Victory Plus Fan Fest. Today is the unveiling for the Dallas Stars' new TV streaming partner. And Victory Plus, they're doing a big fan fest this afternoon. Sam's going to be there in person covering it. He will have a full report on that tomorrow. And then Razor is coming to our set. He'll be in the lounge studio on Friday right here in DLLS Studios. So that'll be a lot of fun to have the Razor Boy here talking Dallas Stars hockey. But right now, let's get into our main topic of the day. Oh, don't forget, please follow on Twitter, on Instagram, all your social platforms, DLS_sports or DLS_stars.
We just got a follow from Mike Heika.
Ooh, that's
Dallas
big.
Stars writer. So
big group of
I
Dallas
think we are
Stars
big
fans.
now. We're officially big.
And he'll retweet our stuff and spread it to the Stars masses. So we'll get Hikes in studio at some point and talk hockey with the great Mike Heika.
No better suit wearer in hockey than Mike Heika.
I love the velvet
blazer.
Yeah.
It's with the elbow pads. It's nothing better.
It is something to behold, although I'm used to it. We've been here so long. But let's get to our main topic so far today. Can Miro Heiskanen win the Norris Trophy? Well, the obvious question, guys, is not that. Yes, he can, but more of, as you see on the screen, how can he win a Norris Trophy? Because we all know he's good enough, but what does he have to do to get over the hump and pass all the guys that put up 90 points, 100 points?
Put up some more points. I mean, that's the way it is today, right? I mean, that's what it seems to be about. The people that are selecting the people for this award have changed gears, in my opinion, in the last few years and what they're looking for. And so you probably have to get up into that, 80, 90 point range. Obviously, being a plus player doesn't matter. We have examples of that. So, and you know what? You got to be a good team. You can't, very rarely are you going to be on a non-playoff team and win a Norris Trophy, or any other trophy. So the numbers have to be there, and a lot of it, is about your teammates. I mean, Miro's not going to be the guy all the time that's going to put up 20, 25 goals, and so it really comes down to the other guys translating his passes, his shots into goals, and finding those points.
What's interesting is we just talked about the points. Last two Norris Trophy winners, Quinn Hughes, 92 points, Erik Karlsson, 101 points. Third, Kale McCarr, 86 points. So the numbers seem like you need to get at least 80 points. But then before that, it was Adam Fox had 47 and 55, which is about 70 if he played a full season that year. That was the shortened year. And Roman Josi was 65 points. So it's funny to think like maybe it's not. Is it always going to be this 95, 100, or could we go back next year and there could be a guy who gets 65 and wins it?
Well, it probably dictates. Do they all have a not off year, whatever, and the highest guy is 80, and then maybe you puts other guys into the running? But I think it's points driven. I mean, it isn't. I mean, I don't think we know that's what it is. I mean, let's just take, for example, my pet peeve all the time is Erik Karlsson. Fantastic skater, great passer, great shot, but 2 years ago he wins the Norris Trophy, and I don't whatever you said his point total was, but for me, 100 point. I mean, that's incredible, right?
And they're not a playoff team.
No,
the
it's not
Sharks.
even close to it.
So that's the outlier. He had to be point obsessive not obsessive, but he had to have an obscene amount of points to overcome being on a bad team. And win the Norris.
It's lost the meaning of the Norris Trophy for me over the years. It slowly has gravitated to the points. Not saying you would want a guy on that team. It's got to be the correct team. You got to have the right partner that can play with that guy. But he was minus 26 on a non-playoff team. So I don't know why that makes him the best defenseman in the league. It makes him the best offensive guy. He's a liability in his own zone all the time because he thinks one way. Again, not saying that I wouldn't like a guy on that can play that way, but when it comes down to a guy that we just started talking about, Miro, more rounded, more balanced game. Of course, you're going to be weighted a little bit offensively, and that's Miro came in here like this. But I think every year Miro's getting better at defending and being able to play against the top lines. And again, I say it differently sometimes because those guys kind of defend because they have the puck a lot. So that just means the other team doesn't. But again, I think we talked about this earlier here before the show started. There just needs to be another award now. I think we've got to move on and find the best all-around defenseman, name it whatever you want.
Well, so here's the funny thing. I'm looking because I actually hadn't read this before. The James Norris Memorial Trophy is presented annually to the defensive player who demonstrates throughout the season the greatest all-around ability in the position. So it's literally defined as the all-around ability, yet they're giving it to someone who's minus 26 on the season and has 100 points.
Do you think that was okay that Karlsson got the Norris that year because of his 100 points? I mean, that was a pretty remarkable feat for a defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, he was the most exciting defensive player in the league that year, but we just need to know what the award is. I think that's what Luds is trying to say. Like, if this is going to be the guy who puts up the most points, as long as he's not completely a liability on a decent team, then okay. But then why is there not another one that's defensive? Like, we have a defensive forward award. The fact that we have a defensive forward award separately from all the offensive stats, and we have a defenseman award that's basically being given to people who get points.
Well, and don't you
confusing.
agree that the sulky has kind of started to slant that way? I mean, Bergeron's been just such a staple for that award, now that he's done. But again, it started to go where Berge would get, 70, 80 points a year too, So he was gathering the points up too. And I don't know if that's part of what's happened is the game has opened up. So players now, when you speak of the sulky, he goes out, he's able to, and I don't have a problem with him. Because he goes down, he's one of the top center right until he decided to retire.
Yeah.
As far as defending faceoffs, his own zone,
like
and
Barkov, similar to Barkov.
Exactly. And and again, we talked about this earlier also. If you want to rename a trophy, if you're ever gonna, in today's generation, because guys will still remember him, is Nick Lidstrom. I mean, he won 3 in a row. What was it? Twice, 2. But
I think he won 6 of 7 with Scott Niedermayer, the one guy that interrupted what could have been 7 in a row.
That's
wild. He was that good.
That's wild.
And when you talk to forwards, and I remember, obviously played against them, but when you talk to your guys and you hear them talk about it, it had nothing to do with what he did offensively. They just couldn't get around him. His stick was good. His position was always good. He anticipated plays. He could read the plays before they happened. He picked passes off. So to me, for this generation, and now that he's retired, Hall of Famer, he's done everything in the game, maybe you can have that second trophy named the Lidstrom Award. And I don't know. I mean, they're changing everything else, so maybe that's the route to go. And then if you want that Erik Karlsson kind of guy on your team and you want to live with that and he's going to put up 100 and some points, then give him that trophy.
So Erik Karlsson's 101 points was the first time, it was the 15th time a defenseman had triple digits in a single season. But it was the first time since Brian Leetch had 102 in the 91-92 season. So because of that history, I'm okay with the voters picking him for the Norris because there isn't that other award. And I think you're right. I think they should keep the Norris as the all-around. And if you want to have a best offensive defenseman trophy, that's fine. You could, if you wanted to rename the Norris Trophy the Lidstrom, then maybe the Bobby Orr is the one that the highest scoring defenseman of that season. Sort of like it'd be like the Art Ross Trophy, but for blue liners.
Even the Norris, though, like Sam, what year you found out about the Norris history?
He died in 1952. So even I didn't know like who he was. I just found out today that he wasn't
he's
even
an owner.
a player. He was an owner. So
Yeah.
like that's just the kind of thing where, and I'm older. Imagine these 20-year-old kids that are following the NHL and getting excited about a guy winning the Norris, and they have zero clue what that means.
I don't know if the NHL is easy on changing their history. You know what I mean? Changing the names of trophies, and we are kind of dinosaurs, and I think and again, as I was coming up, they're very deep into the history and the past players that built this game and put it on the map, and the way that they played, and the way that it was old school hockey. And for a long time, we were patterned after the way that they played. And it's nice now. Again, I can say it now because I'm sitting here with you clowns, is that this game is so exciting today compared to what it was, I'm sure, for people that watched us play. And I even remember being in Montreal, and you'd be at the bar, and you'd have people come up to you and say, man, you guys do this and that, but you're boring. The games are boring. We only win 2-1 and 1-0. And I'm like, well, would you rather have us lose 5-4? No. We want you to win. But now those things kind of ring in my head, because even me, we see a game, there's sometimes you're watching a couple teams that aren't so good playing against you. Oh my God, I'd click it over to the Toronto game or to the Dallas game. Let's make sure, because it's entertaining, and you have to sell entertainment in today's game.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm very much in that agreement of I would rather win than lose. And if you have to win ugly or boring, fine. But I would rather lose 5-4 than lose 1-0.
Right.
I would rather risk some offense and go for offense, risking giving up some goals. And again, I would rather win than lose. Everybody
But
would.
that's because you guys aren't coaches and players and general managers.
But
You're
do you
okay
want to
losing
lose
5-4.
1-0 playing safe, or do you want to lose 5-4?
I don't want to
going
lose
for it?
at all.
Right.
I don't want to lose.
Fair.
And if I'm giving up too many chances going the other way, I'm going, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
Let's tighten up. And that's going to be the line that you're going to hear from every player on the bench when things open up. It's going to be, we got to tighten up. You're going to hear from the coaches. You're going to hear from the GM that comes down.
Yep.
We got to tighten our game up. This
And
is
it
ridiculous.
happens every sort of
This is
playoff
not
stretch.
what's the football league? Where they're back in Canada,
You're talking about
the CFL,
the CFL or the Arena
where there's
League?
3 downs and the scores are in the 60s every night. I mean, it's entertaining, but that's not.
No, and actually, that's a great point that you bring up, Luds, because defense is exciting. It doesn't. I'm not.
Offense wins games, defense
To
wins
me,
championships.
this is what I've always said, and I think that this matters. Scoring chances are exciting. Good defense, good goaltending is still good. It doesn't have to be 8-7, but if it's a 2-0 game and there were 10 shots on goal and there were 5 scoring chances, yawn. But if there's, one of the best games I remember calling in the AHL was a 0-0, went to a shootout.
That's because you like soccer.
No, because there were 80 combined shots. Michael Layton versus Brian Elliott. It was Albany versus Binghamton. And those 2 goalies stood on their head. But it was chance either way. That's fun hockey. It didn't have to be goals. But I'm sure Luddy would watch that and go, man, some breakdowns there defensively, and you're getting caught here and there. Fair, but it was a fun game even though there weren't goals being scored.
First time you walk into the locker room as coaches and you lose a 5-4, 5-3 game, get our scoring chances against. Not 4.
Yes.
It ain't about 4. It ain't about, man, we could have scored 3 more goals. What are we giving up? Why did we give that up? So that's the mindset, is if you keep it out of your own net, scoring chances down. So I don't know if that's ever going to change.
To bring it back to Miro on the Norris part of it, I've said for the last couple of years that because, and I think I mentioned this when we were talking about Miro a week ago, because we're in Dallas and there aren't very many Professional Hockey Writers Association members. In fact, I don't know if there's more than one right now. Maybe 1 or 2. We'll see. Maybe Sam will get invited this year. He should. But
Talking to you, Frank.
there are not that many votes that cover the Stars very much, if any. Some teams, I always bring up Toronto because there's a ton of writers that cover the Maple Leafs, have a lot of votes. So it's really hard for a Dallas Stars player, unless he's an obvious winner of one of those awards, to win because they don't get that recognition. I bring that up to say that in a regular season game, guys like Miro or Logan Stankoven, if he's up for the Calder this year, or anybody else that's going to be one of those first-team NHL votes, has to have great games on the road or at home against the teams where there's a lot of members.
Yep.
Toronto, the Boston, New York's, those kind of things. Montreal. But Luds, consistent runs like they've had lately going to the third round of the playoffs, I think really helps. Having Miro show against the entire hockey world what he can do against Connor McDavid, except for that insane goal that McDavid had in Game 6 where even Miro got walked, I think heightens and elevates his profile, Miro's, because people see on the playoff stage what he's all about.
But I don't know this, Sam. When is the Norris Trophy decided? It's not in the playoffs.
No, it's a
but
regular season
But he's
award.
saying, I think he's saying that
You're saying awareness.
His awareness. The next season, people are going to know
I
more
think
about
you
who
have
Miro
to
Heiskanen
get
is.
in the voters' mind, win an award for the Norris before you can be considered for the Norris. You have
So
to get
you're
up to
basically
that.
saying because they went deep this last couple years,
He's now on their
they're
radar.
written down.
Yeah, there's more.
Oh, I
there's
agree
more
with
eyes
that.
on that.
Yes.
But again, what helps and all that other stuff is how many national games are this year? 14,
14
12, 14,
national-
something
that
like
really does help. Yes.
So
That's a good
all
point.
the players are going to get their awareness. And again, I think, and we all listen to the NHL Network and watch the channel and all this kind of stuff. I think they do an incredible job. At least it's evolved for me where they're trying to get all the teams in all the time.
Yeah.
And when they do the next following day, they touch on all the games and they bring up, the best players in the game all the time. And so I'm sure Miro's name, and I hear Miro's name even when they're doing the previews. A couple of weeks ago, I happened to tune in, and first thing that comes up is Heiskanen, and then Nick Robert, you know what I mean, and the absence possibly Joe, and all this other kind of stuff. So Dallas Stars are on the map. There's no question about
But
that.
it took a while because remember, Miro wasn't even a finalist
Yeah.
for the Calder his first year, which was a travesty. But it was, again, the team wasn't on national TV very much.
Yep.
Not a lot of people knew who Miro Heiskanen was. It took being a consistent team getting to the playoffs and then being a contender for him to start really making waves. I thought his play in the bubble playoffs got a lot of
Yeah.
people. So, again, that was almost 5 years ago
Sure.
now.
But you think about that. Think about the West Coast teams. I mean,
Same
there's a lot of
problem.
people that
Yeah.
don't stay up that late to even watch the games. I mean,
Yeah.
you got reporters that are a big part of this voting stuff, and they're in New York and Pittsburgh and stuff like that. And games are starting at 11 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock, whatever it is. I don't even know how much those guys get.
Yeah.
Do they get selected? Is it most of these guys getting it because they're either on the West Coast or in the Central Division? Somewhere in there. Are they the ones that are getting chosen overall? Although
There is definitely and it's not a bias, but there is a slant towards East Coast players because there's more of a conglomeration of teams, media members, eyeballs. It's just easier to get recognition that way.
So before we wrap up, because we're over, but one question that I have is Quinn Hughes, Erik Karlsson, Cale Makar, all these guys, I don't see them dropping below 80, 92, 86 points, 100 points, whatever. I don't see them dropping below that 80, 75 point mark. So what if those guys have 80 points, let's say, what does Miro have to get offensively to win the Norris Trophy?
I think he's got to be in that ballpark. I mean, I think you have to be 80
In there or
above.
more?
I think you have to be 80 or above. And again, I think it's dictated by what everybody else sets.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different players. Well, there's not different players every year. Makar's going to be there every year. Quinn Hughes is probably going to be there.
Yep.
And that all depends on their team. So they for those defensemen, they have to be able to play with a group of forwards like Dallas has that can translate what they do into points. So I just think that the bar is now where it is, and we can debate is it the right way to select that particular award, or should there be another one, which I think we kind of agree on that. But that's going to be the number because, again, the way the game is played, the way the penalties are called or not called, or however you want to phrase that, it lends itself to a lot more open ice games, which lends yourself to more points, which is why this game is so much more exciting because we like to see changes. But I don't. I mean, I'm still. I mean, the first thing I did after we came back this weekend and we didn't have a good start to our season with our 18 guys is scoring chances. Yesterday at practice, we spent the whole day in our own zone. They hated it, but we spent the whole day in our zone.
You're trying to limit the other team's
scoring chances against.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen when it's a 4-2 game, 5-3 game that you lose. They don't come in and say, "Man, we could have scored 2 more goals. Let's look at our scoring chances for." And not the way it works.
Well, I'll tell you this. Miro has to be in that offensive ballpark to be considered. If he's close, I think he could still win. I don't think he has to win the scoring race on the blue line because of his all-around game, and that really helps. And being on national TV and playing all that will be a really good thing for him. But he also gets the power play boost.
Yeah.
He is the number one guy quarterbacking the power play. We talked about it earlier this week. If the Stars power play gets going and playing at top 5 rate like we think they can, especially filling the Joe Pavelski role, there it is again.
Yeah.
Why? Well, that benefits. Miro gets points. He'll pile them up on the power play if that first unit's going.
We should have to do a shot for every time we mention Joe's name this year.
Well, before that, we have to do some ad reads too.
Oh, okay.
I think at some point. So let's talk about. I forgot what we're talking about first today. Let's talk about Empire Today. Thanks, John. Empire Today.
I would have gotten it wrong.
With Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Think of Empire as your one-stop flooring shop. I cannot believe I haven't messed that part up.
You know why? Because
at
you're not
any
trying to
point,
say it too fast.
right? I just laying it out like DLLS.
You're a professional.
Like Luds. They want to provide the best and most efficient service, not always the most affordable, but you'll have the best experience working with Empire, and you're going to get the best quality. Best place to get new flooring. Look out for copycats, like people like to try to pretend they're Empire, give you a little cheaper price, but guess what? It's not going to hold up. It's not going to look as pretty as this beautiful floor that we are finally actually on.
You can see a little bit.
You can see a little bit in the back there. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
beautiful.
very nice wooden floor.
It's very nice. If you aren't sure what you want it to look like, they have a virtual floor designer. All you got to do is snap a picture of your room. You can look at what the floor is going to look like in the room of your choice. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners will receive $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. That is DLLS for $350 off discount. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
Thanks, Sam. You know, we're driven by the search for better, and when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. It's don't search, you match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. Over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. You know, I was driving home from our show yesterday, and I heard an Indeed commercial on the radio, and they were talking about how you can do virtual meetings and screenings with your clients as a hiring manager. And it helps ditch the busy work. It makes it more convenient. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, messaging. You can connect with candidates faster, higher quality, and it makes for a better hiring system. You can also leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
$75 credit?
$75 sponsored.
That can't
job
be right.
credit.
That's too good.
That's correct.
That's too good of a deal.
Indeed.
Luds, I'm getting on right now.
Lauren, let me ask you a question. This little thing hanging around your neck.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I didn't know it did
It
that.
squeaks.
I had no idea it did that. Okay. Did you
Comes the
get
dog.
that award from your beer buddies last night because you broke up a couple 2-on-1s? Did you break up this play? Did you block a couple shots? Did you save a goal against? What did you get it for?
I actually scored on a breakaway. Yep.
Okay. You scored on a breakaway.
But it was actually we actually lost. It was Monday night. It was the 10:45 game. It's a late night for a beer league
It's a
start.
late game.
It was getting done right before
Some
midnight.
of us would like that time of the day.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a night owl. I don't do the early mornings well. And once the game got going, I was fine. But boy, there were some yawns in the locker room getting ready and all that. But yeah, no, I think I was not a minus player and scored a goal. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Can I hear that again? Can we hear it one more time?
No.
go Pigeons. By the way, this is always good when you score a goal
It's
and
a
you're
pigeon? I thought it was a penguin.
no, it's Pigeon.
Oh, you're called the Pigeons?
We're the Pigeons.
Oh,
yeah, we got the we got uniforms and everything. But
You guys
this is
got
always
shit all over the locker
What kind
room
of
after?
penguin looks like that?
Huh?
Penguins are
I
black
don't know.
and
From
white.
over here, it looks like a penguin.
what's really humbling is when you score and you get back to take the face off at center ice, and the ref looks over and goes, "Goalie's got to stop that." And that's what I heard. So Thanks,
There
guys.
we go again.
Yeah, see, Katya said, "Oh my God, it squeaks." Yeah, we'll give Katya one more
I was
squeak
going to
for
say,
you.
is she
The
hearing
show's
that on
going
the
the
show, or
wrong-
is she hearing that across the office? Okay,
No,
there you go.
she's watching.
Show's
Thank
going
you.
the
Watching
wrong way
it.
when we're talking about men's hockey at 10:45 p.m.
So let's get to our other topic on defensemen today, and that was Esa Lindell, because, guys, he is actually a pending UFA after this season. 1 year left on his deal. And Sean made this point a couple of days ago, and he wrote about Esa for one of his 400 publications that he contributes to, saying that if he wasn't on a Stanley Cup contending team like the Dallas Stars, that Esa Lindell would be at the top of all the trade target boards by TV pundits, saying he would be the number one sought after defenseman at the trade deadline because of how good he is and also because he's a pending free agent. The Stars are obviously not looking to get rid of Esa Lindell, especially not this year. I guess my question to you guys is, what does the future of the Dallas Stars and Esa Lindell look like? Because obviously his deal is done at the end of this year, and I don't think the Stars want to let him leave as a free agent.
He'll
So
only be 31, too, at the end of the deal.
what does an extension look like? And when you have, as we talked about lefty righty yesterday, with Harley and Heiskanen also in that top four. I mean, I don't want to get rid of Esa Lindell, but you have two lefties that you could have in your top four. Where's it make sense for you for him to be extended with the Stars?
I think it's in his court. It depends on what he wants to take. I mean, that's where it's going to be. Is Esa a number two? My opinion is, can he be a number two? Absolutely. He can be a complement. Like, let's just play the wish game. If Miro was right-handed,
Yes.
he'd be a great complement.
Yeah.
for
I
him.
agree completely.
And I think that's where you look at that.
Well, he played with John a lot, with Klingberg a lot.
Correct.
Right? So
And he again, I go back to, again, not the same comparison, but when I played with Chelly or if I played with Zuby, they knew that when they could a little more freedom, if that play breaks down, we knew how to play against it for that period of time. So, but does Esa, it doesn't strike me, and I do not know him that well, that he's the kind of guy that wants to chase money. I think that he loves it here. I think he loves this team like most of these guys do, the group, the city. Will he take the so-called hometown discount on a 3-year, 4-year deal to be part of a team that has an opportunity to win a cup in the next couple years or whatever it may be? And with the salary cap going up, can they fit him in at 6.5? Can they fit, stay under 7? Because to me, maybe because he's not right-handed, he's in your 3-4 pairing, or so. And I think he's got another 3-4. He's a penalty killing machine. He can defend against other top teams. He's exactly what you want on your team. So I don't know why you wouldn't find a way to make it work.
Well, here's the thing, too. You mentioned his for term. I don't think you even need to worry as much because he's 31. And if you look at his years, he plays almost every game every year.
Yep.
We're talking 73, 80, 82, 75, 76, 82, 82 the past 2 years. So it doesn't seem like he's only 31 years old. Does he seem like a kind of player that at 34 is going to just all of a sudden have these injury problems and be
Does
a
it
risk?
even look like he's slowed down
No,
at all?
not
He's
at all.
played the same way for the whole time he's been here.
And so that's the question for you, Luds. We were talking about before the show. If you look numbers only, right, for Esa Lindell, it's hard to tell what he is because heavy penalty killing minutes. Owen said he played more penalty killing minutes than any other player in the NHL this past season.
Well, it goes farther than that. So he led the league in time on ice shorthanded last year, and he's done it for a while. So I'm going back here from the 2016-17 season through last year. So that's what, almost 10 years. I think it's 8 seasons. He is number 1 in the league in shorthanded time on ice. And it's the number 2 is Provorov, was obviously started with Philadelphia and then moved on. Jacob Slavin, Brendan Carlo, Ryan McDonough. That's over that period of time. He has been on the ice 1,780 minutes shorthanded in that span. And the next closest, we're talking about second place, not like the top 20. Second place is over 180 minutes less.
It's wild. So he's
a machine
He's going to
in
do it
shorthand.
all. He also is pretty consistent with getting 20 plus points. He had a couple of years 1 year with 30, but last 3 seasons he's been around 25 points. So it feels like the numbers, if you're looking at him in terms of goals against, let's say per 60 or whatever, it's going to be a little swayed, right? Because he's playing such heavy penalty killing minutes.
Yeah.
So how do you look at Esa Lindell as a defenseman right now?
I look at Esa and I say, Esa, would you take another $21, $22 million over the next 3 years and be part of a Stanley Cup? When I want to say winner, but potential winner, you're there. Do you want to pick up, move, and find some other play? I don't know why I feel that way. I just think he's the kind of guy that said, yeah, I can do that. And maybe it's just his personality, but he's such, and I can understand why other teams want him. Again, what wins? Special teams and goaltending, and penalty killing is pretty damn important, just like the power play is in today's game. And
you can't have 6 Miro Heiskanens. I mean, maybe you could.
Yeah, I'd like to.
But you can't have 6 Erik Karlssons on your blue line. You need to have that variety of styles.
Yeah.
Which is why you just said he'd be a top guy for someone. Imagine like a team, let's say Dallas is in the bottom of the standings, right? What team, Florida, New York, wouldn't want
They all
Esa
would
Lindell?
want. It would be the equivalent, I think, a little bit different style player, but similar of going out and getting Chris Tanev. He would be one of the top ones. Think about this. So Miro has 4 years left on his contract. Esa has 1. If he extended 3 more years like Luddy was suggesting, that would get Esa and Miro through the 27-28 season together. You know you have to pay Thomas Harley. The interesting thing is that if Liam Bixel turns out to be a player, and we all think that he's going to be, that could time really nicely when he gets, done with entry level. Maybe he's on a bridge deal, and then he might have to get paid. It kind of lines up pretty well where I'm sure the front office is kind of planning for these things so that, they talk, hey, Wyatt Johnson's going to need a contract. Well, Jamie Benn's money's coming off, so you're ready for that. Same thing with giving money to Miro, and you had, Jason Spetz's money at the time, I think, or something. Having these things planned out 5 years down the road is really important, and I don't think giving Esa another 3 years at 6 or 6.5 is going to put them into a corner.
No, and especially because it's an important player, right? Sometimes you have to pay people that deserve to be paid, right? Like, we talk about so much about contracts. Like, if you could not pay someone for a certain amount of time and still keep that player or whatever the money is, then you would. But it's a business; they deserve the money they get, especially when they're doing what they're doing. And we talked about Esa Lindell. His numbers are solid. He's playing almost every game. His ice time was able to go down a little bit last year because we got Miro playing heavy minutes and other guys like that, which should be the same again this year. His block shots are going up. His hits are staying consistent. His giveaways are going down. Like, it's just, if we were talking about, is he slowing down?
Don't get rid of him.
Going the opposite direction almost.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, I don't know anything. I don't think he's a guy that's gonna.
that should be the quote of the day.
Just clip that, Johnny. That's perfect. I don't know anything.
Shit. I know nothing. So, and nobody's gonna argue with that. So, but I don't feel he's the kind of guy that's going to say, no, you guys want to offer me 6.8, I want 7.8. I don't know that, and I don't even want to put that out there, but well, I guess I kind of did. but I just see him being a team guy.
Yeah.
Like, I see the way you watch him and the way he goes about his stuff. He's just this team guy, and I think you can get him here and say, Esa, we want you here when we win a cup in a couple years from now. So we'll see where this
And
goes.
he's part of the leadership group. He's part of the Finnish mafia. He fits in too well, and then his on ice stuff seems to be a perfect fit too. I feel like it's an easy decision. It's just a matter of how long of a term.
And it is an interesting question Luds brings up though: is does he want to go?
You want to go to New York?
Well, not.
I
so
don't
much,
see him a New York
Not
guy.
so much that, but does
You
he
want to go to Edmonton?
Does he want to go to free agency?
But I mean, would Edmonton pay him?
Somebody
They need
would,
that.
Somebody would pay handsomely. So the question is, at age 30, this is probably his last big contract.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does he want to cash in? And if he does, that's okay. Players' careers are so finite that they should get what they can, as much as they can, while they can. But I think you're right. I think, and again, we'll have to talk to Esa and see if he probably doesn't want to give up anything.
Well, I'm sure he's going to tell
He's
us.
not going to
Yeah.
say any of that. But it's the sense of, I think you're right. I think he really is comfortable. He's happy here. I think he's well established. He's got his family here. I don't think that that's a problem, but you still have to go and negotiate the right way.
Yeah, but Chris Tanev said all the same things, right? He wanted to
did.
be here. He loved it here. Although Esa's got roots here.
Yes, and he also doesn't have Canadian
situation.
departure taxes
Yeah.
to worry about.
Yeah.
So there's that. Well, it will be interesting to see how it's handled. Will the Stars try to extend Esa during the season, or will they wait because obviously they could have by July 1st of this summer. So do they want to do that during the season? Is that something that they'll work on? Is it something that maybe we'll have to ask Jim Nill at some point? Probably have to talk to him and see. Although
I'm sure he's going to spill the beans, isn't
the
he?
GM doesn't want to have any negotiations in the media anyway,
Yeah.
so that's probably not.
I didn't ask him about Esa, but he did say that for Jamie Benn, he liked to the similar type of player, right? He's been here for a while. He said that both of them just want to push it and let the season happen. So if they come up on something during the year, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be something where they both want it done by Christmas or something like that, I would imagine that's the same situation for Lindell.
I think so.
Now we get to talk about Foco. Right, Luds? No, not you. Don't worry.
I was just going to say, I asked you earlier what that was.
No. It's me. It's me. I'm talking about Foco. Foco is your place for sports gear, Luds. They got hoodies. They got shoes. They got signs. They got bobbleheads. Everything in between. You're going to a basketball or a hockey game. Show off your love with even the branded friendship bracelets that I'm still waiting for Owen to give me. He hasn't given me. But as you also know from previous conversations, they have ugly sweater pajamas. They have a Snuggie. I don't believe they have a Stars one yet, but we'll have to get them to get one of those.
If they had a Stars Snuggie, I would wear.
We wear it on the show.
Bloody would wear.
We wear
one.
it on the show. I think all three of us.
I'm not clear on
They
what
also
a
have
Snuggie is.
the bathing suit. There it is. John's ready. He's got that every day, just locked and loaded. Beautiful bathing suit like this. You can walk out in with Luds, go in the hot tub, maybe soak it up, have a beer. It's just your perfect stop for anything you need to show off your fandom. So Foco is what you need. Decorations, clothes. What else? Did I miss anything else? Whatever you want.
Well, you got to explain, Luds, what a Snuggie is.
Luds, you know what a
I'm
Snuggie is?
not a Snuggie guy, I don't think.
Okay. We'll
You
talk
might
about,
be.
We'll talk about it later. I'll show you mine. Not like that, but like the Snuggie
Boy,
part.
look
I'm
at
not
the
gonna
look
show
he
you
had.
mine.
The Snuggie part. Anyway, go to Foco.
Hold on.
Oh.
Go to Foco. Use the code DLLS on all non-presale items. Foco's your stop.
Now I'm going to talk to you about the DLS Dallas Stars and all DLS Sports Die Hard program. We are getting great interactions. A lot of people signing up for the Die Hard already. One of the buddies on the Pigeons was like, how do I get in the Discord? Literally on Monday night.
Just ask Luds.
And I said, well, you have to get... Guess what? He just came off the chain. I think I just broke the pigeon. We're going to have to fix that during the break.
Broke the penguin.
Broke
But
this penguin.
guess what? You want to get on the Discord and ask Luddy questions. We're going to have Razor on Friday. You want to ask him something, we'll go through that. You have to be a diehard. So go to the alldls.com website, click on diehard, sign up. You get a free t-shirt for each year that you subscribe as a diehard. That's half of your subscription right there. It's a free code. And you get access to Luddy's damn Discord channel, which I got onto. I haven't posted anything, but I skimmed through it a little bit, and you guys are pretty funny. So
It's good.
Yeah, we got lots of things going on with that. With somebody mentioned something that will definitely give Luddy cross eyes, which is the Dallas Stars subreddit. He's going to look at me and go, "What the heck are you talking?"
You
Are
know,
speaking
subreddit.
English?"
It's like Reddit, but smaller.
See, exactly.
We're still trying to get Luds on Slack.
Yeah, let's worry about that first. But it really is a great thing. You get connected with our show, be more involved, and join the chat on YouTube right now. Hit us up as you're watching. If you're listening to this later, if you do join live on the YouTube, you can on the YouTube stream. Sound like I'm 80 years old
YouTubes.
now, and you can join the chat. If our producer John sees something that he likes, he can even pop it up on the screen. Sometimes it's even funny enough to stop down the show, make us laugh, bring something up. So a lot of fun there.
You mentioned feeling like you're 80. My dad is like the least technological guy of all time. I'll text him and be like, "Hey, Dad, are you watching this game tonight?" "Oh, yeah. How do I watch it?" I'm like, "All right, just go on the TV, open the app, and click the game. It's really easy." He'll text me back, "All right, yeah, so I got my Venmo open here, and I'm trying to get over on the PayPal." And I'm like, that's Luds. I feel like
You just said Venmo
you're just
and
throwing
PayPal.
words out there.
I don't use any of that.
you don't use that.
No, I'm not.
By the way,
man,
I fixed the pigeon.
my
We're
head
good.
explodes when you guys start talking about this kind of stuff. And I guess I kind of wish I knew what you were.
We'll work on it
but I
slowly.
don't.
There he is.
Yeah,
Look
see,
at
there you go.
that.
Look at this. This is what happens to my head when we start talking about
Bravo,
this.
John.
This right here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I feel when the conversations are going. Now people are going to have to actually watch the show to see what the hell happened there.
All right, let's talk about Joel Hanley. We mentioned Joel Hanley yesterday, right?
Yeah, well, this is the callback to yesterday's
Yeah,
show.
so we talked about Joel Hanley yesterday. We were talking about seventh defenseman, and Owen and Luds have not yet seen. I'm not sure if John has seen yet. Joel Hanley's son, Hudson, 2.5 years old. I was corrected by my girlfriend. He's not 4, like I said. He's 2.5 years old, and I think we have a couple clips here of his golf skills.
For you people that are listening right now,
Yes. So for you listening, the kid hits the golf ball. I don't know the distance, but every day
Two and a half.
I'll get a clip. 2.5 years
Wow.
old, and he's hitting the ball further than Joel, I'm guessing. But so much so that they actually had a big announcement on Instagram the other day, and we have that clip too, John.
that's
And-
exactly
fun.
what my ball looks like when I hit it.
It just explodes everywhere.
And it exploded pink, which means they are having a girl. So congratulations to the Hanley family. But it's just one of the funnier things. So follow Joel Hanley on Instagram. I don't know his Instagram, J Hands, I think something like that. It's hilarious. They post stuff almost daily, and the kid is going to be, as Sean said yesterday, a professional golfer 100%.
You know, I'm getting off topic, but we're talking about Joel Hanley. He's 32. He'll be 34 after this. I think he turns
He's 32 and he's going to be 34.
after his contract ends. He's one more year left, right? He got traded to Calgary. I'm just saying, harebrained scheme. I think he's still got something left in the tank. Stars love him as their 7th defenseman.
Wouldn't they have loved him last year about playoff time?
Yeah, they would have. I mean, it was worth it to get Chris Tanev.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't rule out. Like, they signed Brendan Smith. He's 35. He's going to be a wonderful utility knife because he can
play
play
forward.
both sides.
Yeah, Jim
Play
Neal was
forward,
talking
he
about
play
that.
D,
He
he
played
play
forward a
left and
bit.
right on the blue line. I'm excited to see him play for the Stars this year. Plus, we know he can scrap and be physical, and I think that's something that we talked about this before. Blue line would be good. I'm just throwing out there. Don't be shocked if Joel Hanley were to come back after this season, 25, 26, something like that. Just a thought.
What I want to know is he still living in Tanev's house?
I don't know.
Because he was last season.
I think he was probably just renting because I'm
He
guessing
was.
Chris Tanev went back to his house after the season was over.
That's probably a good point.
Normally people drop those kind of ideas when they know something.
No, this
you-
is just
are
a
you-
hunch.
Yeah?
I have no nothing.
Okay.
That makes two of us.
I know nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Sam, do you know anything?
I know everything.
There we go. We were going to talk briefly about the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame inductees. It was announced last week, and it was September 5th, to be specific. And the 2024 class of the American, a.k.a. USA Hockey Hall of Fame, Matt Cullen, the longtime American-born NHLer, was the second highest games played total in his career by an American-born player, short save only for Leddy's old teammate, Chris Chelios, along with the gold medal winning Brianna Decker, who happens to also be from Wisconsin. So that's 2 checks to the positive from Luddy's, I'm guessing. Duzman, Wisconsin. I don't know where that is, but small town up there. And then the late Frederick McLaughlin, Kevin Stevens from Massachusetts, and the gold medal winning 2002 Paralympic sled hockey team were the members of the 2024 class, which will be enshrined later this year.
They inducted the whole sled hockey team?
The whole team.
Oh, that's cool.
From 2002. So what are you guys' thoughts? Anybody want to wax poetically about anybody on that list?
I think, Luds, you got anything on Colin?
I think when you think about Matt Cullen, I mean, he played 15 years. How many? Or 1,500 games? Wasn't that 17?
He played
he played over
maximum.
20 years. Matter of fact, I
He
think.
played over 1,500 games.
1,500 games.
Yep.
I think he played 20-plus years.
1,516 games over 21 NHL seasons.
Yeah, just steady Eddie.
And he won the cup 3 times.
He's got 3 cups. He was there in Pittsburgh. He had a couple there. So I think that the longevity, but again, I look at players that play, a long time. It's about consistency, and he knew who he was as a player. When he came into the faceoff circle, you knew it was going to be a battle against him. And then he was detailed in how he played the game, and that's the reason. Again, they're students of the game. He's coaching youth kids right now, so he stayed in the hockey. So the longevity and to be able to stay healthy, in that game for that long it's incredible. And you know, with Stevens, true power forward. I don't know when that term started, but he had an edge to him when he played, and I, you know, he won a couple cups also at that run in Pittsburgh, and actually they were going for the third one, I believe. I think Kevin over the last few years has probably gotten, I don't want to say better known. His name has been out there for what he had to go through, and listening to him talk, he's very proud of what he's doing now, which he started, you know, for rehab things for when they get out of rehab. And
You're talking about for NHL players when they're done with their careers,
so
or their playing
not,
careers.
And it's not just NHL players, but you know, he's got a charity, a foundation that does that kind of stuff. But you know, he and it happens like so many players, and it was an injury, and it sounds like, you know, you start taking medication to get yourself through games, and that's what we did a long time ago. Not from the medication, but we just played, and we did not want to miss a game. The mentality was different then because, again, I told the story before. I had one of the guys said, "Man, you know, you sit out a game, you never know, that young guy gets a chance, and you may lose your spot." And that was kind of the mentality back then, and that goes with both those guys. There's a reason they played as many games as they did, because they were able to play hurt. But then, you know, some of them you had to pay the price for putting that time in.
Brianna Decker won an Olympic gold medal. She won an NCAA championship, 6-time IIHF world champion. She's one of those names that always would pop up when we talk about the U.S. women's Olympic or world championship team. USA Hockey on the women's side, she was always, for me, a name that I would just instantly recognize as one of the key members of those teams.
We should talk about Winter Olympics coming up too.
Do have a Winter Olympics coming up in 2026.
Got a lot of exciting stuff coming in the U.S. and North America as well for Winter Olympics and
that's a little bit
summer,
farther down the road.
Is it summer or World Cup? World Cup's coming up.
World Cup.
A couple of years.
Where are you going? We're talking
just
about women's hockey.
I'm just talking about having
World Cup soccer.
International stuff, and there's some exciting stuff. That's all. We
think the U.S. is going to host a Winter Olympics, but the next one's in Italy.
Yeah, later on is in Salt Lake, right?
I
believe
so,
that was what it is, which is cool.
That makes 3 of us that know absolutely nothing. So
are you just assuming I don't know anything?
Do you know
when the Winter Olympics is?
Have I said anything? You'll know when I don't know nothing, which is most of the time. I just keep my mouth shut.
Well, it's a good time to bring up the DLLS Dallas Stars podcasts and Die Hard Things and Discords, but also important because we have a guest coming up in studio, our second guest, and his name is Daryl Ray. Razor will be here for a 1 o'clock show in our lounge on Friday. And if you want to have more than just watch, if you want to chime in, the best way to do it is get on the Discord. Well, you have to be a diehard to do so. So sign up, alldlls.com. Go to the diehard section, become a subscriber. You will receive access to the Discord. I believe you get an email. I got mine from our head of content, Bobby, who also runs the Mavs podcast. But in doing so, you can then jump on our Discord channel, and there's different rooms for each, Sam, of the sports podcasts of DLLS, including the Stars one, and that's where we get tomorrow's Luddy's damn Discord channel.
Yeah, there's a bunch of channels in there. I remember when I first went in there, I was like, what are all these channels? And I looked in there, there's like movies, there's just good vibes, there's food, there's one for each team, then there's just a general diehard. It's fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you want to go in there, it's kind of like you can legit hang out in there if you want to. Like you go in, there's so many people that are just constantly checking that if you're in there and you ask a question, like I asked the other night, I just asked people what they were watching. I was looking for a show to watch a few nights ago, and I asked, what are people watching tonight? You get like 5 answers within 5 minutes. You got your show. So if you're looking for something to do, Luds, just jump in the Discord, talk about the X-Files with some Stars fans, and away you go.
I'm good.
By the way, Luddy, you said you had a surprise for me today. Do you remember what that was, or have you forgotten already?
No, I thought I had a Rugged Road
You don't have a read today.
which I don't. I'm disappointed, and I hit in the cooler, which I wanted the cooler.
Well, we can still have the cooler
because
here.
it's a late birthday present for you. Like I felt bad. I didn't get you anything for your birthday.
Rugged Road.
Yeah, see, we have
Look at that, us
Road
giving
coolers.
extra
And
reads.
I knew it would be something there. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
There
wow.
It is a Daryl Razor Ray bobblehead.
That's beautiful.
Which, if you want to see, I won't unbox it on the air. Take a look. Luddy, hold that up.
You can hear it clack.
There he
Razor's got a
is.
bit of a chin on him, so his chin is hitting his knees right here on his little bobblehead.
Knees. Well, thank you very much. I will cherish this
That's for
greatly.
both of us.
We should have a contest on the, what's it called again, where they type in again?
On the
What-
Discord?
Discord.
Yeah, where if they get a great question for Razor decides they get a bobblehead.
We have.
you go.
We might have
There
a
you go.
little bit
Sign
of
up for
supply
the-
to handle that.
Sign up for the
So
cord.
DLS Discord.
cord.
We will talk Discord tomorrow with Luds to end our show, and then we will get around to any of those during the Razor meeting when he comes here on Friday. Speaking of Dallas Stars subreddits, we're getting deep into the weeds now, but this came up, Luds.
Oh, this is rude.
It is. But they
But
wanted to
Who's
show it.
they? Who are they?
The Stars fans, same people probably
they,
that are in the Discord.
diehards.
So
Named
the
slowest player in Stars.
the Reddit-
in Stars history.
So the Reddit. So this is the Reddit is actually a place that we've as writers go sometimes to do a AMA, as Luds knows, short for Ask Me Anything. So you go on there and you can it's kind of what before Discord, where you go and you can have conversations. Fans go on there all the time. So they have this graphic. It has there it is right there. So we have I can't read.
You have to describe it for those listening later.
For those listening. It is
It doesn't
the
look like I'm officially the slowest
no, you're not
guy.
official. It's the most underrated star, most overrated, best, worst defenseman, most potential, most wasted potential, best defenseman, best goalie, fastest, and then the next one up is slowest. So this is in Stars history, and they vote. I looked at this the other day. I just happened to see that was next, and I went,
Is
"Oh,
this whole thing your idea?
no,
by the way?
it's not. I saw it, and I was like, you know what? I wonder who it is." And I happened to look at the chat, and I think John has some of the thing up. Oh, I can't read that.
You want me to read it?
Read that, Owen.
All right, Craig Ludwig, love the guy, but he was not fast. This is what Unhalf Bricklayer wrote a day ago. I remember being at a game at Reunion Arena. He was in the penalty box and everyone else was deep in the zone. PK ends. He steps out of the box and catches a pass or clearing attempt right before the red line. Two-line pass rule was still a thing back then. And watched Ludwig on the breakaway. Two guys from the other team caught up to him before he could take a shot, despite, which is spelled wrong, him having a half a rink head start on them. The man was not fast, but could block shots better than anyone in the league.
See, a bit of that is bullshit.
And then
so
look underneath it says, I put it back up, John. Another guy says, I came to post this, and then a couple of beer glasses. And then the next one is the man used dinner plates for shin guards.
So let's get his rebuttal. John, do we have any more of those comments? So go ahead, read a couple more, because I want you to understand that there's a lot of love in here as well.
So more people, Ludwig wasn't exactly light on his feet. I can't see who that is. Carstar12 said, first that came to mind, also a legend of a drinker, may have gone hand in hand. Is that enough? Anyway, this is the only correct answer. Nobody could skate fast with those shin guards. It has to be this. Hold on, leave it up, John.
Yeah, that was the
one
one I
has to be
liked.
this guy. I remember an interview, and they were talking about what kind of sticks they like to use. Letty's answer was, one that doesn't break when I cross-check someone. That sounds like Craig Ludwig.
We got Luds was a second goalie that hung out by the dots. It's Luds. His shin pads didn't exactly help with the aerodynamics. So I just want to say, if you read that, no one is hating on you at all. There is love. They said that you're not the fastest.
I can see how he might interpret
yeah,
that a
they say
different
they're not the
way
fastest.
than
But let's
no
go
one's
to
hating
Luds.
on him.
Luds, were you a fast defenseman?
No, I didn't need to be fast because I knew what my role was. And I had so my first year in Montreal, there was a trade. And when I talked about that, that's one of the reasons I thought I made the team my first year. Defenseman by the name of Rick Green. In my first game, I was running around trying to hit everybody and stuff like that. And Greeny gets back to the bench. He goes, or I got back and he goes, let me ask you a question. He goes, what's our job? What are we supposed to do here? And I said, well, we're supposed to keep goals out of our net, that kind of stuff. He goes, but where are they going to go to score? And I said, well, back by the net. He goes, just stay there. He goes, there's no reason to run around. Just meet him at the net. And I thought, well, that sounds really good. And so that's kind of how I started that. But, and again, I think the biggest thing about being an average player and not the guys that are loaded with skill is knowing your limitations, and you kind of know where you're good, where you're not good, and things like that. You're not a puck handler, give it to Zuby, give it to Chelly, give it to Larry. And that whole thing about coming out of the penalty box. Part of that was I was thrown off by the
He
guys
remembers
on the
it.
bench.
Of course he does.
Because as soon as I got it, yes, it was in the neutral zone. It was about center ice. I heard them all yelling, "Just dump it in! Just dump it in!" And
Confidence booster.
I seriously thought about it, and I thought, well, that's going to look really bad.
Unbelievable.
So that's what was happening. My mind wasn't speaking to my feet to get going. Plus, the bottom line is I wasn't going to score anyways, so it didn't matter. My shooting percentage would have went down, which I didn't have one. So that really was a lot of the fault of my teammates at the time. So I do, and I honestly do remember that. I thought when you started reading that penalty box, what happened is there was a little fight we had with Anaheim one time, and I was sitting in the box, and this defenseman Karpa, I don't know if you guys remember him, and they weren't happy with me, and he was coming, and I saw him coming to the penalty box, and he got halfway there, and he took his stick and he flipped it over, so he's hanging on to the blade, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He's skating right to me. And there was, the camera hole.
So wait a minute,
I'm
he's
like,
pointing the butt end of the stick
Yeah.
at you?
No, he took, he had the
holding
handle.
the blade.
He flipped it over.
Yeah.
And I just happened to look down, and I saw the camera hole in the penalty box door. I'm like, no way, he's not going to do that. And I thought, yeah, he is. And so I just stood there. I was like a bullfighter. So I just stood there, and he just rammed it through the hole. I just kind of stepped to the side, and we were playing tug of war with it. We were playing tug of war, and I got it away from him. I handed it to a fan.
Come on.
And I sat back down. The fan banging on the glass. I look around. He hands me a beer. He gives me a beer in the
No
belly
way.
button. And then I got kicked out of the game. So, but
Did
we
you
were
get,
getting
did
kicked
you
out.
get fined for throwing somebody else's stick into the
I don't know
crowd?
if that
I
was a
didn't
rule
throw it.
yet.
I handed it.
But even so,
I don't know if that
No,
was a rule yet.
no.
Remember Miro when his glove fell off into the ground?
And he's like begging, like asking for it back.
disqualified. Just mad.
I have
trying
a question
to
for
throw it.
Luds, because that is a very rude question to bring up. Who do you think that
Oh,
deserve-
I'm happy that I'm on that list. I wasn't on the worst defenseman list.
No,
Yep,
no, no.
yep.
But like about slowest player, who else besides you deserves to be in the running for that? Do you want that?
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, but do you have anybody else you want to carve up or chirp that was also not fleet of foot as a Dallas Star?
I can give you a few of the suggestions
Yeah,
if
I
you
would
want
say
them.
give me a couple.
We have Hatcher.
You know what? Yeah, but again, you can be slow when you play like Hatcher because nobody wants to come near you
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
what's
think that's a theme with all these guys. Roman Polak is another
Yeah.
one. Mark Fistrick. A lot of Craig Ludwig. One person said Ken
Well,
Hitchcock.
did you have to throw that part in?
Somebody
See, I
said
think one
his.
guy says it and they all just agree.
There's a
That's all
lot.
there is.
Sergei Gonchar.
Oh no. No.
And then there were a bunch that actually
Maybe
said
when he
Joe
was a Dallas
Pavelski.
Star, because Gonchar was a good,
Well, that
very
yeah,
good skater, but
he
it was
came
toward the end of
here
his
at
career.
the end of
his
It was
career.
very
Yeah.
end.
Yeah,
Surprisingly, a lot of Joe Pavelski. Everyone that said Joe Pavelski said, I wish it wasn't, but to me, it's Joe Pavelski.
Well, that again, you're kind of remembered for your last performance,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think, and what happened with Joe, it's still even, and again, he's like one of the best players that's ever played here.
Yeah, and
we're-
that's the point
he's
of this
going
too,
into that
is
Hall of Fame, that hockey.
it doesn't
Hall
make
of
you a
he'll
Fame.
bad
be in
player.
the U.S.
Yeah,
Hockey
like-
Hall of Fame for sure.
But what
he
I
should
think
probably
where it stood out
Yep.
for Joe is it happened like that. Like it was just, he was good, and then all of a sudden the wheels
during the last season.
Yeah, you could kind of. What are we looking at?
Joe says, in quotes, Anaheim wasn't happy with me because you stuck Teemu Solani in the face. Is that
Yeah.
why they weren't happy with you?
Well, yeah, that's how the whole. That was when we only had like 4 guys left on the bench. That game. Yeah, that's what happened. Good job, Joe.
He knows it.
Wow, he
Mama.
remembered his
Joe
history.
Mama.
People like Craig Ludwig. I'll tell you right now.
Of course
there
they
are a
do.
lot of fans
I'm
of
better.
Craig Ludwig.
They like me because I rub elbows with them in certain establishments. So
at
I'm friendly.
Taz3311.
I don't know this for
Why
a
you
fact.
doing-
I'm gonna. He's not giving him a home
I
address.
just love
He's
that his
get-
name is
it's more
it's up
Twitter
there because his Twitter is just.
So, were you a chirper on the ice? Would you talk a fair amount to the opponents?
Enough.
Yeah.
Enough that you get somebody's attention and
Chirps us right
chase
here.
you around a little bit. Not. I mean, we've always had good guys on the bench, on the teams that I played on. Brian Scrudlin comes to mind right away, and so there were guys, and what they were better quick-witted. Like I could say something, and a guy would have a really good comeback, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, you got me."
Yeah, that's a good one.
I couldn't help. I couldn't go back at him. I wasn't quick enough. So after a while, you just kind of shut up and just go on your way. Like I said, it was a different time. I'd be curious. I'd love to sit on a bench in today's game.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to just sit on the bench and listen to the guys. And right now, most of them don't even talk. They come back and look at iPads.
Yeah.
Which, if I were a coach, I'd have a complete fit with that.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
We could talk about
For
that
sure.
forever.
We should put that down as is there too much video?
I've
in
talked to
hockey?
a couple of coaches and just ask them, and both of them hate it, but they're visual now. So
And some
they,
of them
they
are,
need to see
the
it.
kids are used to doing it.
Yeah,
They-
and
and they-
my
they
problem
obsess
is
with
like
it.
if you get a camera on some of them guys and they get a good shot of them, they literally won't watch the next shift.
Yeah.
Not. I'm talking about. The next
talking about
guy's
watching
going-
the
They don't even
game.
watch it. They don't even know what happened.
Robertson's a good example. He,
Oh, yeah.
he'll watch that iPad.
He wants to see
Like
every
Like
crazy.
they come back and they don't even turn around. They just pick it up and it's in their hand
Yeah.
as they're sitting down.
Oh, yeah.
Which again,
Surprised it's not attached
today's-
to the shoulder pads.
Yeah, today's. Well, I mean, don't wear shoulder pads. You just put the caps on.
True.
So, but today they're all visual, and so I get it, and I think as a coach, probably you go, that's what they need. That in their mind, that's what they have to do, and you kind of want to maybe bite your lip. I don't know. That'd be a good question to ask Pete DeBoer. Like, how do you? I don't know if they'll ever tell you the truth because then the players will hear the comment.
Yeah.
Maybe off the record, here's how they feel.
Well, I
don't
mean,
know.
I know for a fact Pete likes to do more video because he tries to save team energy throughout the season by more optional skates, more days off, less ice time, especially as you get toward the playoffs.
Well, you have to do
have
video.
to.
Yeah.
You have to do the video because they are visual.
Right.
This goes all the way back when I was done. Gainey had me go to Kalamazoo, where our minor league team was. I got out there the first day. They had fired the coach. Came in sometime in January. I couldn't kind of get across the what we were trying to do in our own zone. Hey, they got to work on their own zone stuff. So I went to this little bar after practice one time, and I was watching. There was a playoff game. Shocker. There was I was just watching a game, and they were actually playing Colorado. I called back to I'm sitting there, and I said to myself, Self, I wish the rest of the guys were sitting here right now watching this game. You can point things out. So I called Leon, the video guy, and I said, listen, can you send me 10 minutes of that game? 2 days later, I had chopped it up, and I showed the guys. It was amazing how many of them were skating around a warm-up. Coach, got it. I'm like, got it. This is exactly what I explained to you, but they were even visual then.
Yeah.
It was starting then.
Yeah.
And I just all day long I do it with our U18s, and I stare at that computer and I find these little things, and then you have to show them because you tell them it doesn't really register, but when they see it, especially when they think they had a good game, how'd your game go? That's pretty good, coach. I'm like, okay. Well, 2 days later, here's your good game. Oh, I didn't know I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know I did. And so whatever you got to do, whatever you have to do to help them get better is what you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, I never played professionally or anything, but I always am a visual learner. Seeing the video helps, but actually being physically on the ice, setting up those scenarios and going through that's when it really sort of sucks into the brain, as opposed to just conceptually talking about it on a whiteboard.
You
or
can't
something.
just talk anymore. Like even for anybody, young kids especially, but for anybody now, you try to explain something to them. It's even in work scenarios. Like if we're in a meeting and we don't have this doc in front of us that we're looking at, it's so hard to actually understand what's happening.
Not
and
me.
Luds doesn't need the doc in front of him. But yeah, in general. But I hated film too. In like especially in football.
You get embarrassed.
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
worst. And our coach would just smack that space bar
Yeah.
every 5 seconds to pause it. And I'm like, he's just going to yell at us again. He threw a shoe at me one time because a couple of us fell asleep. We used to have film at 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer before the season even started for football.
Yeah.
And we'd fall asleep in the locker. Oh, yeah, I wonder why. Maybe because we're doing 2-a-days and then having film at 6 o'clock. But anyway, I think being visual is important, but we could talk about that a lot.
Well, there you go. We introduced Luds to what apparently was rather rude, but at least somewhat honest.
I can take
Dallas Stars subreddit.
You have a lot of fans out there, Luds.
Subreddit?
That's what they call
Subreddit.
it.
And we got an impromptu Ludscapades there. We didn't even try to do
those
that.
are the best ones.
Yeah,
Okay,
we didn't even try.
Story times
are we
with
doing
Luds?
that now?
No,
No,
we
you already
did
did.
it.
Oh, we did it.
You're talking about
Well,
Timo
good. That was an
Solani.
awesome
There it
segment.
is.
Yeah, see, you got the.
Oh, there it is.
Anytime you can get that up on the screen is
Thank
good.
you so much, as always, for joining us today. We will be back tomorrow. Sam will have a first-person account of the Victory Plus unveiling at the Dallas Stars Victory Plus Fan Fest, which is this afternoon, 4 to 6, 4:30,
the
something like
media,
that.
there a
media's
concert
4 to
tonight,
6.
too?
Yeah, Nelly will be getting hot in her on the stage.
Huh?
Yes, Nelly, the
Nelly?
rapper. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one who was popular like 45 years ago. He'll be performing. I think it's like 4 to 6 is the actual on stage like unveiling,
this all
and
taking
then
place?
there's 6 to 9 is the fan fest. It is at the Factory.
Oh, yeah,
in
the old
Deep
bomb
Ellum.
factory.
Yeah, in Deep
Yeah.
Ellum.
Yeah.
So it should be fun. And
tattoo shop down there.
And we'll talk about what you can see on Victory Plus, because I know Sam's already been going into old games. But we'll get into that tomorrow as we do a 1 o'clock show Central Time from the podcast room. Then we'll be back here in the lounge on Friday at 1 as Daryl Razor Ray and maybe a couple bobbleheads join our wonderful DLS Dallas Stars podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. For our producer, John Anderson, for Luds, for Sam, I'm Owen. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.